your availability and for your time and for your participation in this valuable session. Allow me also to thank the organizers for their outstanding effort for the success of this valuable third edition of MedCop. MedCop is one of the events that gather several and different actors from different backgrounds and also from different Mediterranean countries. This edition is also dedicated to discuss different topics related to the challenges and opportunities linked to climate change issues and also sustainable development issues and their interaction with social, economical, and even political axes. Our session today will be dedicated to discuss one of the important sectors which is driving our economies and which is also responsible for a huge amount of carbon emissions all over the world. Our focus will be a little bit on the Moroccan experience. This is why we have several actors from the national level, from government and public entities, and also some representatives of the private sector. First, join me please to welcome Mr. Mohamed Ouhamid, who is Director of Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency at the Ministry of Energy Transition and Sustainable Development in Morocco, to address keynote speech about the Moroccan experience in driving the energy transition toward a low carbon economy. Mr. Mohamed Ouhamid, please, the floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mesdames et messieurs, honorables assistants, c'est pour moi un énorme plaisir de participer à ce panel. Et je tiens tout d'abord à vous présenter les excuses de Madame la Ministre qui n'a pas pu assurer l'ouverture de ce panel en personne pour des engagements et des contraintes d'agenda. Je tiens également à féliciter les organisateurs pour la qualité de l'organisation et je le remercie également d'offrir cette opportunité pour le Maroc de présenter et d'échanger sur son expérience en termes de transition énergétique qui a été initiée, ça fait presque plus de 15 ans. Mesdames et messieurs, comme vous le savez tous, nous assistons depuis quelques années à une transition mondiale vers des modèles économiques de plus en plus sobres en carbone. Et bien évidemment, aux côtés du défi du changement climatique, nous sommes interpellés à garantir une sécurité énergétique durable avec des coûts abordables qui assurent la compétitivité de notre économie et la préservation de l'environnement. Et ce, dans un contexte géopolitique instable qui impacte la disponibilité et les cours des produits énergétiques. Les tensions récurrentes sur le marché énergétique mondial confirment plus que jamais la place importante des énergies renouvelables dans notre avenir énergétique et la nécessité d'accélérer la transition énergétique. Celle-ci constitue en effet une des meilleures alternatives pour limiter l'impact sur les économies et de la fluctuation des cours de ces ressources énergétiques. À ce titre, le Maroc, de par ses acquis, bâti dans le domaine des énergies renouvelables, a d'importants atouts pour optimiser sa transition énergétique entamée depuis 2009 dans le cadre d'une vision tracée par Sa Majesté le roi Mohamed VI, que Dieu l'assiste. Cette vision clairvoyante repose principalement sur le développement des énergies renouvelables, le renforcement de l'efficacité énergétique, mais aussi l'intégration régionale. Et il est accompagné pour une approche intégrée pour le développement du marché du gaz naturel, notamment pour accompagner la montée en puissance des énergies renouvelables. Notre transition énergétique s'inscrit au cœur de la stratégie nationale de développement durable que nous sommes en train de mettre à jour, comme il a été précisé par Madame la Ministre dans son allocution hier. Et cette stratégie est devenue aujourd'hui une réalité sur le terrain au niveau de notre pays à travers la réalisation de plusieurs projets. En effet, au cours des des 2 dernières décennies, le Maroc n'a pas hésité d'investir massivement dans les énergies renouvelables. Et il a revu de manière régulière son ambition à la hausse en se fixant comme objectif aujourd'hui de porter la part des énergies renouvelables à plus de 52% à l'horizon 2030. En termes de réalisation physique, nous avons aujourd'hui une capacité qui dépasse les 4 gigawatts qui est déjà opérationnelle et qui représente environ 40% de notre capacité installée. Et la capacité que nous avons programmée pour être réalisée avant 2027, elle est de l'ordre de 6,5 gigawattheures. Cela veut dire que la cadence de développement des énergies renouvelables au Maroc a été multipliée au moins par 3. Les investissements ont passé de 4 milliards dirhams par an pendant les 15 dernières années à 14 milliards de dirhams pour les 5 prochaines années. Et nous œuvrons pour renforcer la part des énergies renouvelables dans notre mix énergétique national à travers également un certain nombre de programmes et d'initiatives qui sont déjà lancés. Je cite en particulier le programme de décarbonation industrielle dont l'objectif est de doter notre industrie d'une énergie électrique bas carbone et compétitive. Un besoin préliminaire a été déjà évalué et il est de l'ordre de 800 gigawattheures par an et nous œuvrons en concertation bien sûr avec toutes les parties prenantes pour doter toutes nos industries d'une ressource énergétique bas carbone et compétitive. L'alimentation également des stations de dessalement de l'eau de mer par des unités de production d'énergie renouvelable est déjà entamée. Nous avons autorisé donc un premier projet dans nos provinces du Sud de 60 MW et une vingtaine de projets sont programmés à l'horizon 2030. Par ailleurs, et conformément aux orientations royales, des actions sont initiées pour explorer de nouvelles filières, notamment l'exploration des énergies marines, pour lesquelles le Maroc dispose d'un potentiel au niveau des 3500 km des côtes atlantiques et méditerranéennes, et puis la valorisation énergétique de la biomasse qui présente un potentiel en énergie primaire de l'ordre de 20 TWh par an à l'horizon 2030, dont 131 GWh, bien sûr, se trouvent dans nos provinces du Sud. S'agissant du développement de l'hydrogène, les études faites à aujourd'hui ont toutes confirmé que notre pays dispose d'avantages compétitifs pour positionner notre royaume comme un des acteurs importants en termes de développement de cette filière, et en particulier sa position géographique à proximité de l'Europe, qui est un marché prometteur, son potentiel énorme en énergie renouvelable, ses infrastructures logistiques et ses interconnexions énergétiques avec l'Europe, ainsi que l'expérience cumulée en matière de développement des énergies renouvelables pendant ces dernières années. Et le travail, aujourd'hui, est focalisé pour l'élaboration de l'offre Maroc qui permettra de doter ce secteur d'une vision claire et intégrée pour optimiser l'investissement en termes de projets de l'hydrogène vert. Parallèlement, une série de réformes législatives et réglementaires ont été mises en place ces dernières années et ils s'inscrivent en droite ligne avec les orientations du Royaume qui visent essentiellement à améliorer le climat des affaires, à renforcer davantage la transparence, à faciliter l'accès à l'information relative aux opportunités d'investissement, à améliorer les procédures d'autorisation, ce qui est de nature à renforcer l'attractivité du secteur des énergies renouvelables, à l'investissement privé national et international et à accélérer l'émergence d'un écosystème national d'entreprises et de technologies propres qui constitue une ambition pour notre royaume. Ces réformes permettront également d'encourager la production décentralisée et offriront aux opérateurs la possibilité de se doter d'une énergie propre et compétitive à travers l'adoption de solutions individuelles ou collectives en vue d'optimiser l'investissement dans des installations et d'optimiser également le coût du kilowattheure, ce qui s'aligne avec les recommandations du nouveau modèle de développement. L'attractivité du secteur des énergies renouvelables sera également renforcée davantage avec la mise en œuvre qui est déjà entamée des recommandations du nouveau modèle de développement visant notamment l'amélioration de la gouvernance du secteur de l'énergie par la mise en place d'une architecture institutionnelle claire et simplifiée. Mesdames et messieurs, l'accélération de la transition énergétique au niveau du Royaume se confronte bien évidemment avec de nouveaux défis pour le système électrique national,
que nous avons déjà, c'est-à-dire entamé. Le premier levier constitue bien sûr et celui afférent au foncier, qui joue un rôle clé pour le développement des projets d'énergie renouvelable. À ce sujet, les efforts des pouvoirs publics se poursuivent pour mettre en place un cadre clair et simplifié pour assurer l'efficience du régime foncier, ce qui révèle de plus en plus d'une importance capitale pour les projets d'énergie renouvelable. Pour surmonter cette contrainte, le Maroc a entamé des stratégies sectorielles intégrant la dimension du foncier comme ressource stratégique à mettre au service des objectifs de développement des divers secteurs productifs dans le secteur énergétique. Le deuxième défi étant le développement du monitoring et de la flexibilité du système électrique pour accompagner la montée en puissance des énergies renouvelables. À ce sujet, il y a lieu de développer des moyens de stockage et de production flexibles, notamment les stations de transfert d'énergie par pompage et les centrales fonctionnant au gaz naturel. L'ONE déploie plus d'efforts pour améliorer le monitoring et la production intermittente et le renforcement du réseau électrique afin d'évacuer et de transporter l'énergie électrique produite tout en développant sa capacité d'accueil en énergie renouvelable. Nous œuvrons également pour le développement des mini-grids et de la production décentralisée. Ces systèmes permettront en particulier l'accès à une énergie compétitive aux zones éloignées du réseau électrique national dans le but de l'achèvement total de l'électrification de notre pays. Un autre défi est l'amélioration continue du cadre réglementaire et législatif pour tenir compte de l'évolution rapide de ce secteur et le rendre de plus en plus attractif à l'investissement privé. À ce sujet, le projet de loi 4019 modifiant en complétant la loi 1309 qui instaure le marché libre de l'électricité au niveau du Royaume, ainsi que la loi 8221 qui met en place le régime d'autoproduction, ont été publiés de manière officielle en février dernier et ils constituent un cadre approprié et complémentaire pour des investissements privés dans le domaine des énergies renouvelables. Le deuxième levier de notre transition énergétique, c'est bien l'efficacité énergétique. L'amélioration de la compétitivité de notre économie impose également la mise en place des mesures d'efficacité énergétique qui constituent le deuxième levier de notre transition énergétique et dont l'intérêt n'est plus à démontrer. Certaines mesures, d'ailleurs, présentent un potentiel d'économie important et des délais de retour sur investissement très courts, en plus de leur impact bénéfique en termes de création d'opportunités d'emploi importantes. Notre démarche d'efficacité énergétique est guidée par 5 orientations stratégiques, à savoir le respect des fondements d'efficacité énergétique par tout nouvel investissement, l'intégration de l'obligation de l'efficacité énergétique au niveau des dépenses publiques et des projets bénéficiant de l'appui de l'État, la structuration et la professionnalisation du secteur de l'efficacité énergétique, le positionnement de l'efficacité énergétique au cœur des enjeux et des préoccupations des professionnels et citoyens, et puis la mobilisation des ressources et l'amélioration de la coordination pour le développement de l'efficacité énergétique. Et dans le but d'intensifier les mesures d'efficacité énergétique, nous avons lancé en novembre dernier une expérience pilote en termes d'incitation à l'efficacité énergétique. Et le retour sur cette expérience était très encourageant. On avait constaté qu'il y a une interaction positive de la part de l'ensemble des acteurs sociaux, économiques, mais aussi des ménages vis-à-vis des mesures d'efficacité énergétique. Nous avons décidé donc d'intensifier davantage les mesures d'efficacité énergétique à travers tout d'abord la mise à jour en concertation avec toutes les parties prenantes des programmes d'efficacité énergétique, mais également l'adoption de stratégies régionales en termes d'efficacité énergétique. L'accélération des chantiers de l'exemplarité de l'administration que nous avons déjà entamé et nous sommes aujourd'hui en train de mettre à jour le pacte d'exemplarité de l'administration pour généraliser les démarches environnementales au niveau des services publics et promouvoir une commande publique durable et responsable. L'amélioration du cadre institutionnel, notamment par la transformation de l'Agence marocaine de l'efficacité énergétique, en consolidant ses acquis dans le domaine de l'efficacité énergétique, mais également en élargissant ses missions à d'autres domaines liés à l'économie circulaire et au développement durable en général. Le renforcement du cadre réglementaire et normatif, notamment pour le développement du contrôle, la promotion de la performance énergétique, mais également le développement de sociétés privées d'efficacité énergétique. Et le dernier levier, c'est le renforcement de la recherche et développement dans le domaine des énergies renouvelables, mais également de l'efficacité énergétique. Et je laisserai peut-être le soin à M. le directeur général de développer ce volet. Le dernier levier de notre transition énergétique, c'est l'intégration régionale, et qui constitue un des piliers importants et qui a été concrétisé par tout d'abord le développement d'interconnexions avec l'Europe, d'interconnexions énergétiques, sachant qu'il y a des projets qui sont programmés pour renforcer l'interconnexion avec l'Espagne, mais également un autre projet de 1000 MW avec le Portugal. Nous avons également conclu le pacte vert avec nos partenaires européens et nous sommes en train de travailler pour le développement d'une feuille de route pour l'échange de l'électricité durable avec des pays européens, notamment l'Espagne, la France, le Portugal et l'Allemagne. Je terminerai par souligner l'importance qu'accorde notre pays à la coopération régionale, notamment au niveau de la région euro-méditerranéenne, mais également la coopération sud-sud qui constitue une orientation stratégique pour notre pays. Et je vous remercie pour votre aimable attention.
Thank you, Mr. Mohamed Ahmed. As Mr. Mohamed said, so he shared with us important insights about the Moroccan experience, which is based on the development of renewable energies, the importance given by the country to energy efficiency, and also the importance of the regional integration. This is translated by several actions and activities. For example, the reinforcing the regulatory framework, the institutional framework, and also the attention paid to the field of research and innovation. Of course, Morocco is one of the pioneers of the region, if we can say, when it comes to renewable energy. I'm representing a regional organization working in the Arab world. For us, Morocco is a reference when it comes to developing renewable energies. The efforts that Morocco paid to develop this sector are really important, and this is why we are very keen today to discuss in details the Moroccan experience from different perspectives, from national perspectives and also regional perspective. There is also there is always this dilemma of how we can, for example, decarbonize our energy sectors without ignoring the importance of securing our energy and also without ignoring the importance of sustainable development. There is no energy security without sustainable development, and also there is no sustainable development without energy security. So this is why today we have a group of distinguished speakers with whom we will in details discuss those aspects and those axes. Help me please to welcome our distinguished speakers. So, Mr. Gramenos Mastrogeni, General Secretary of Climate and Energy at the UFM, Union for the Mediterranean. Mrs. Roberta Boniuti, General Secretary at the Medener Network. Mr. Tariq Haman, Acting CEO at the Moroccan Agency for Sustainable Energy. Mr. Samir Rashidi, Acting General Director at the Moroccan Institute for Research in Renewable and Solar Energy. Mr. Philippe Bordeaux, Director of Viola Office in North Africa and Middle East. Mr. Omar Qadir, Business Development Director at Innovix. Mrs. Christiana Lizy, expert in energy and decarbonization at Race for Africa. And Mrs. Nasma Jondi, senior expert representing the Mohammed VI Foundation for the Environment. thank you all for confirming your participation and for being with us here to discuss this important topic related to energy security, sustainable development, and low carbon transition. Today we will try to elaborate more on the solutions and the possible models. For example, the development of clean hydrogen segment and its competitiveness. So I will start with Mr. Gramenos Mastrogeni. Mr. Gramenos, so for you, I know you are representing the Union for Mediterranean, which is an intergovernmental organization gathering, I think, 14 or more, 43 countries from Europe and from North Africa. From your perspective, so could the renewable energy play a barrier role against the volatility of the prices of energy across the region? And regarding also the importance of regional cooperation, for you, what are the main or the important cooperation models or partnership models that could also foster this field or development this field too?
Thank you very much for such an interesting question. Let me first state that what we think was already declared when we acted as witnesses when the agreement between Mazen and Northern partners was signed at the COP to share a resource that can help everyone. To the first question, it is now clear the Ukraine conflict demonstrated that renewable is not only sustainable, it means also energy sovereignty. But then we are all looking for the right technological solution, and I will not get into that. I would rather share with you what is our political vision, which is very simple. It is, around the Mediterranean, nobody can make it alone. No matter what kind of renewable source or clean source you consider, the truth is that there is a huge potential in the south and in the Balkans, but if you only developed it looking at internal markets, there would be not enough finance to develop it. On the other side, Europe is lucky. It can afford the ambition to decarbonize before 2050, but it just quantitatively can't if we don't rely on this potential around our basin. So the equation is clear. It's not only in this, there is also an equation which is mistreated in one of the chapters of the climate negotiations, which is technology transfer. Technology transfer in climate negotiation is kind of tense, but because it is a mistaken point. People tend to interpret technology transfer as the gift of the advanced and fortunate towards those who are not so much. This is absolutely not true. In our region, we need reciprocal knowledge. I don't want to recall old beautiful times, but Southern Europe will be in 10, 15 years in a climate condition that we don't know how to manage, which is similar to the climate condition that you have experienced during 5,000 years. We don't know how to do that. Even traditionally, you do know. Energy or not energy related, probably we will need a lot of input about the way the traditional solutions you've found for cooling. If you go along the Silk Road, you find cone-shaped buildings which are called yakchal, which in Persian means the fridge. They were used by merchants to deposit perishable goods, and they have one characteristic: no matter how hot it is outside, inside it's always between 0 and -4. VAT expenditure, 0. I don't think that we should restart building with techniques that were used 2,000 years ago, but there is a knowledge in there that we need to use. So our political vision is that we can only make it together, and that together we have a lot to give each other. This is a solution for energy, but it goes way beyond that. Because let me tell you one thing. Climate change is very dangerous on our region because there are very severe forecasted impacts. But if it was only the impacts of climate change falling on a region which is uniform, where everybody is more or less the same level of income, threats for stability would not be so big. In a region like ours, the danger is severe climate change overlapping asymmetry, overlapping a place where there are rich and poor and things like that. If we get into that kind of economy where we recognize that we need each other, it means that it will have a macroeconomic rebalancing effect, and energy is very powerful to kickstart the Keynesian effects of this kind of measure. So if we start from energy in integrating what we have, in putting resources together, not only we will effectively cope with climate change, but we will also start a cycle that will bring our region to be more fair, more balanced, more resilient, and more able to avoid stability threats.
Thank you, Mr. Oukamenos. Yes, indeed, I can't agree more. You stressed on the importance of technology transfer and also for availing finance to foster this regional cooperation in order to develop this sector and fight against the climate change impacts. Now with Mr. Roberta Boniuti, representing the Medener Network, which is a network gathering several sustainable energy agencies across the Mediterranean. From your experience, I know Medener is playing a big role in fostering the regional cooperation between the countries. One of the examples is the big MISMED project that you are currently implementing its second phase. From your experience, what are the main lessons learned that you could share with us today about the role of regional cooperation in developing the energy sector, and also its role in going for a low carbon energy transition across the Mediterranean?
Thank you for the invitation here. It's a pleasure to be here in these days. I represent Medener, the Mediterranean Association of Energy Management agencies that are governmental agencies, 13 agencies from the northern and southern shore of the Mediterranean. And we are in charge of implementing energy efficiency policy and the dissemination of renewable energy sources, renewable energy in general, and also it depends on the country because the agencies are very different with different scopes, sometimes also including technological research apart from the policy point of view. But we are all governmental. As you said, we are working since 2018 now on the MITMED project, Mitigation Enabling Energy Transition in the Mediterranean region. And our main aim is to support the energy transition, energy and climate transition in the region. And we work together with RECRI, our co-applicant. And mainly we are now focused on the energy efficiency part because first of all, we understood that we need a quick reaction to the energy crisis. So we are dedicated to energy efficiency actions that are the fastest way to reach, let's say, energy savings and also to decrease the energy demand. We are mainly concentrated on buildings and appliances because buildings is one of the most energy consuming sector in the region. But apart from this, we have several experience, and from our point of view, we can say that the lessons learned from the point of view of our national agencies are especially that linked to the regulatory frameworks. There can be political willingness in the countries to implement, to have certain targets for renewable energy, for energy efficiency, but then we come to the point that there is a lack of implementation, of law enforcement. For example, building codes, I can take just this example, they are promoted, they are at the level of the law, but they are not enforced, they are not developed. This is just an example. So from our point of view, in general, it's very important to crucial aspects to be tackled to get decarbonization for energy efficiency and for renewable energy are linked to the regulatory aspects. that are very much also linked to the political willingness, both for energy efficiency and renewable energy. It's important in all the countries because we work in the region, not just in some of the countries, to consider that we need independent regulatory authorities. We have to consider the importance of electrical interconnections, of the electricity market design, and the prices of energy that in some countries can have special conditions. It's important to solve these conditions before starting with the real planning. And finally, to allow investments also from outside, from foreign companies, but also national companies, to really foster the penetration of renewable energy and energy efficiency solutions.
Thank you, Mrs. Roberta. So the political will and also the regulatory and political framework is for you one of the drivers that can also foster and accelerate the energy transition toward the low carbon economy. Now from regional perspective, we'll go to hear some national witnesses from Mr. Tariq Hamman. Tariq Hamman is representing the Moroccan Agency for Sustainable Energy. So all the energy professionals currently are recommending and are talking about the clean or green hydrogen as one of the solutions and models that can also accelerate the energy transition toward the low carbon economy. We know that Morocco is one of the countries paying significant attention to this segment. Morocco has also developed a national green hydrogen strategy. Of course, Mazen will play a significant role in implementing this strategy. So my question is about the demand. We know, for the success of this new strategy, I think the demand will play a crucial role and the domestic market will catalyze and play a crucial role in the success of this national strategy. So how Morocco is currently managing the issue of securing long-term offtake agreement, and how Morocco is planning to also catalyze its national and domestic market demand.
Thank you very much, Mr. Salmi. Thanks for this introduction. Thanks to the organizer for the invitation. I will start briefly with short words about Mazen, for the ones who don't know Mazen. Mazen is the Moroccan Agency for Sustainable Energy. We are the main actor in terms of implementing Moroccan strategy on the renewables. This strategy is summarized by a clear vision and a target of reaching at least 52% of our installed capacity from renewables, wind, solar, and hydro, within 2030. And we are on a path in order to, of course, achieve this target, and even earlier, before 2030. Of course, this is addressing the electricity sector, but as you know, electricity represents less than 20 or 25% of the whole energy consumption. So if in order to enhance the penetration of the renewable energy and to decarbonize the economy, we have to address the other sectors. And green hydrogen is identified as one of the main carrier of energy, because it can transform electricity, especially green hydrogen, as a commodity. So you can trade it, you can export it, you can store it easily, comparing and with a cost less than the electricity today. And as you know, Morocco is blessed in terms of renewable energy, wind and solar, and we are identified as one of the best 3 locations worldwide to develop green hydrogen generation. So we expect that within the resources we have in Morocco, we can address up to 8% of the total demand by 2050, which is a huge potential. And in that field, of course, Morocco is working in order to develop this potential for both local market, but also export. We have great advantage. First of all, this very interesting potential wind and solar, and the combination of the two that allow us to have a very high capacity factor and enhancing the efficiency of the electrolyzers production and lower the cost. On the other hand, we are also very close to a large market, which is the European market, one of the leading markets demanding this green hydrogen in order to decarbonize this economy. And we are interconnected electrically and also through pipes with Europe. This also helps the Moroccan to play a big role on this hydrogen market. Also, we dismantle that we handle large-scale project, what has been done on the field of solar and wind, because today we have more than 40% of our installed capacity from renewables, with more than 4.4 giga of renewables under operation. Of course, the sustainability and the strongness of our banks and all ecosystem Morocco make us one of the best places to produce green hydrogen and to address the European market. The other advantage we have is local consumption. We are, especially with the OCP, who are present with us in this panel, through Innovix, one of the main importer of green ammonia. We do import at least 2 million tons a year. And of course, on this path of decarbonization, it can be a field addressed by green hydrogen and green ammonia. So all ingredient is there in order to implement a very aggressive and interesting development within the green hydrogen, and many actors are looking to develop large-scale projects all over the countries, and the Moroccan government is working in order to implement an offer Morocco that will be published soon in order to set up all technical aspects to develop such a kind of project. So as you mentioned, of course, we are in the beginning of this path, so we need to establish many items, including the regulation, as you said, including also some infrastructure in order to transport and to export this green molecule. But definitely, we are working on that. Of course, the advantage of having a large local market will enhance the development of such project. You mentioned the offtake by the government. I mean, we cannot compare what has been done on the power sector to the green ammonia, because power sector, basically, the main off-taker was the public side through the grid operator. Here, we're talking about a molecule, a product that will be sold directly to industrials, to the private sector. So we don't expect that the government is going to play a role in terms of take. But large-scale companies that are now consuming green ammonia or green molecule, of course, will have to offtake for long terms in order to make the project bankable. So one of the big issue or the main element now on this new business is, of course, having the most bankable off-taker on board. And as I said, the real pressure now is attracting off-takers to commit and give them enough visibility that what they are committing now is the best option for the next 15 to 20 years, because we need this commitment in order to make the bankability of the project. So here will be the fight between the countries trying to attract the best off-takers. And as I said before, having a large off-taker as OCP in Morocco, it's a big advantage that will push and speed up the first project, and of course, showing the path for the coming one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tariq Haman. What you have said is very interesting in terms of developing the local markets and also to promising or going for the energy exchange with other countries and with other continents. Of course, the success of implementing the national strategy of green hydrogen will also rely on some efforts on the side of research, development, and innovation. This is why I would like to ask Mr. Samir Rashidi, if we can say Irizon is the R&D arm of Morocco when it comes to energy, solar energy and other sustainable energies. So from your perspective, how the research and development activities could also foster the implementation of the national strategy of green hydrogen. I know Irizon was one of the actors developing this strategy first. So what could be your role and what is also being currently developed all over the world, scientifically speaking, in this field?
Thank you, Sheikh Khalid, for the kind introduction and also for inviting me in this panel. And also, I would like to thank the organizers and also congratulate them for the nice happening of this MedCop. Well, to answer your question in a straight way and then probably try to develop a little bit, let's say what we have, contributed as a research center in or a Moroccan or government, let's say, head in research. We tried first of all to demystify the subject 5 or 6 years ago. This is really important to bring awareness and also to raise awareness among the key stakeholders, especially governmental bodies, but also the private sector, to seize this opportunity that is profiling in the horizon. And again, also with the partnership with all the stakeholders, we tried to develop the first studies in 2018, 2019, 2020, in order to see what is green hydrogen, what are the technologies involved, which markets we are targeting, and what would be the potential probably for Morocco, and what are the challenges and the gap to bridge, or the gaps to bridge, when it comes to the large-scale deployment of this economy in our country, but also in partnership with other stakeholders or other allies countries. And then also this, we need also to mention it or to precise it somehow, that Morocco, with this regards, was one of, if not the first Middle Eastern and African country to have published its hydrogen strategy in August 2021, which is really still, in my opinion, an achievement. And it's not only about dates, but publishing a strategy means also that everyone around, or the whole stakeholders of the country, has ownership on the subject. Why is that? Because it's really important. Why is it important? Because it's a complex value chain and a complex endeavor. If we would like to deploy this on the concrete scale, on reality, and then we need everyone around the table, not only in Morocco, but also, as you mentioned with Tariq previously, also for the offtake. There are lots of challenges, of course: certification, guarantees of origin, harmonization of regulation, infrastructure. So it's quite a planet alignment that we are seeking for, and we need this planet alignment before shooting. This is the complexity of the issue. So let's say we have played probably a role of a catalyzer or a think tank, probably, in these 5 or 6 years of the development of the vision. A role also that we played very importantly with the private sector, because it's really important. We're public, but we need also the private sector in this all synergy kind of effort. And the private sector, we tried also to organize the offer in terms of industry within the green H2 cluster. So this is also important in order also to seize the opportunity and to have one-stop stop when it comes to private endeavor. Third, let's say, pillar we played on was then our DNA is to promote a kind of research platform to tackle the whole value chain of Power-to-X or green hydrogen at a megawatt scale. We are not at the gigawatt scale. Those big projects will come afterwards, but we need, as a country, as a potential exporting country and also end-user country, to demystify in a very deep way the value chain, technically speaking, technologically speaking, what are the options we have, and to be able to afford data to our stakeholders, Mazen, OCP, Nareva, other private sector, who would need private banks, public banks, who will invest in those projects, who will need the data to de-risk the projects and to increase the bankability of the project. So this is what we have done, and also R&D is really important as well to build capacity and to have some expertise when it comes to human capital, because this is also a very big challenge that we need to face as a developing country to be able to tackle and also to attract high added value projects, especially the first one that will be key to trigger the market. And that's it from my side. And I would like to apologize. I have a train to catch, so I need to go, if you allow me, before the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Samir. Yes, of course, if you have any other obligation, of course. So thank you for your availability today and for also participating and sharing those important insights about the role of iReason and also the role in bridging the gap between the public and private sector in order to successfully implement this green hydrogen strategy. Thank you, Dr. Samir. From public, from research and development to the private sector. So, Mr. Philippe Bordeaux, you represent the private sector voice today. Could you please tell us how the private sector could also have a role in implementing or in going toward a decarbonized economy? And actually in North Africa and in Middle East, I know Veolia is very present in those countries. What is your current role, or what are you currently doing in terms of activities in this direction as well?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to say to thank you and to say it's always a pleasure to be here in Tangier. And I would like to share with you some experiences of what Veolia is able to do, or the private sector is able to do on renewable energy, on decarbonization. We very often talk about green hydrogen or blue hydrogen, and I would like to share with you an experience of a renewable hydrogen which has no official color yet. It's renewable, local, decarbonized hydrogen by cracking biomethane. At Veolia, our purpose, our raison d'être in French, is to be the champion of the ecological transformation and to bring ecological solutions. You can produce hydrogen, and it's already been done we are in the Cap Med, so in the south of France, on the Mediterranean Sea, close to Toulon. We produce hydrogen with sludge, with biomethanization of sludge, and then producing hydrogen leading to public bus services. So buses in some public buses in Toulon are operated by methane original hydrogen. You also can produce with biomethane from bio-waste conversion from landfills. Methanization, you capture the biomethane from landfill. This is local decarbonized energy, which can be used as a methane and producing electricity, or you can transform the methane into hydrogen without using water, without using energy to electrolyze water. One thing very interesting for this activity, it's not large-scale plants. It's local decarbonized plants, and the more people, the more inhabitants you get in the region, for instance, such here in Tangier or in Tétouan, you can have an increase of population during summer. The more population you get, the more resources you get from wastewater, from sludge, and from bio-waste. So your waste, your wastewater can become a resource and can afford biomethane and some kind of biohydrogen also. Today, the cost, because at the end of the day, everybody will tell, well, how much does it cost? Today, it's a little bit more expensive than the blue or the green hydrogen, because it's not, because the small scale plants that are in operation today are, let's say, industrial pilots. It's not large, widely developed, but with research and development, with the fact that some municipalities, lots of municipalities intend to develop those kind of medium-sized plants, we're sure that within 5 or 10 years from now, the price of this hydrogen will go down and will be comparable to blue or green hydrogen. So just to keep in mind that there are local solutions, local and circular economy solutions, which can provide local decarbonized energy in each city. You don't need the sea, you don't need much of water. The circular economy helps you with your wastewater sludge, with your bio-waste. You can produce biomethane, you can produce some kind of biohydrogen also. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Philippe. Of course, it's an innovative model, if we can say, that needs attention and other efforts to be really concreted. Going back to the story of takers and so on. So as Mr. Tariq Haman mentioned before, OCP will be one of the main actors who will foster and catalyze even the domestic market, and also will play a role to create a demand for the success of this new orientation toward the green or clean hydrogen. I know Innovix is the innovation arm, if we can say, of the OCP group. For you, Mr. Qadir, what are the main aspects, if we can say, that we need to follow in order to unlock the investment and also financing for new innovative projects? And what role also could Innovix or OCP play in order to foster the partnership with other countries, regionally, for example, with Europe, or also to foster the South-South cooperation in this field? Thank you.
So first I would like to say thank you to the organizers and for the attendees. It's a true testimony of the urge to take action and to act locally and try to bring a global solution. So before addressing the question, I will just outline some elements of context. Due to the unfortunate succession of events, so first COVID and then the conflict in Ukraine, Morocco faced huge impact and the price hikes of energy, electricity, but also commodities in general. But thankfully, and thanks to the wise vision of His Majesty, who implemented the strategy of renewables a few decades, I mean more than a decade ago, the impacts have been, mitigated, not completely, but the situation could have been worse if we didn't have local capacities. So renewable energy, even though, and we could think that they are quite capital intensive, they offer nevertheless resilience and stability over the long term. So the economics are driven by costs that are disbursed upfront, but then you have stability and visibility on the yield over the long run. So renewables were and are still at the core of OCP's investment strategy. So we are planning to invest $13 billion within the 5 upcoming years. And more than half of this amount is already pledged for green molecules and green electricity. So going back to the role that Morocco could play and also our group, there are some, unique advantages that Morocco has. We have already talked about the quality of the solar and the wind resource. There is also the proven track records for Morocco that have successfully implemented the large industrial and energy programs. And we have also the unique geographical positions that we hope will give us a privileged access to the European markets. So we should not forget that Morocco is, with OCP, is one of the leading fertilizers producers. And if we look at the ladder, this makes us one of the first importers of ammonia worldwide. So if we look at the use cases of hydrogen, in terms of efficiency, the most efficient way to use green hydrogen is to produce green ammonia, which can be an input for fertilizers. So we are a user of ammonia. We could use green ammonia, but OCP doesn't want only to be an end user or consumer. OCP has been proactive in ramping up its organic capabilities to produce green hydrogen and green ammonia, which will prime the system for a local and regional market. OCP has also invested heavily in research and development and innovation through several arms, and we are also acting proactively via UM6P in preparing the talents and the human resource that will develop and manage those future opportunities. So going back to the financing, financing have two legs. You have the equity side and the lending side, or the debt side. So for the equity, Morocco has also been in the forefront, because we have succeeded developing a framework that is enabling for private investment. So there is a confidence relationship that have been established with the private sector that can come to Morocco and invest and create value. There is also a long-standing relationship and also confidence established with the lenders, with which we don't only rely for bringing the money to finance the project, but also to leverage on their expertise and best practices in terms of project development. So just to wrap up, I think that Morocco have some unique advantages, and so we have the building blocks that can make us play a role of a leader and also a pioneer in the field of green energy and green molecules. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar Qadir, for your insights about the Moroccan advantages that could also give Morocco some additional value or additional role to create regional markets for green hydrogen, specifically for green ammonia, which is one of the important energy carriers that also could be used in other sectors like agriculture. In the same direction, I would like to also ask you, Mrs. Cristiana Lisi, RES4Africa. We know RES4Africa is the voice of European or specifically Italian private sector in sustainable energy fields. We know also that you have just released a study about green hydrogen in Morocco, opportunities and challenges and so on. In the same direction, so what is the role that you can play or the private entities you are representing can play in order to create a regional market for green hydrogen? And also if you can give us some key messages about your role in developing this new segment in the whole continent of Africa.
Thank you. It is a pleasure and honor to attend this panel today. Before answering your question, let me spend just a few words on RES4Africa. RES4Africa is a foundation that supports the energy transition in Africa in order to achieve SDG 7 and ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. It gathers a network of members from all over the clean energy sector, willing to mobilize investments in clean energy technologies. Coming back to your question and the topic under discussion today, we acknowledge that clean hydrogen is a key strategic component of energy transition, security, and economic development, with a pioneering role for Morocco. The country is attracting attention since being endowed with an ever-growing solar and wind capacity, it is well positioned for the development of a clean hydrogen economy. Furthermore, with the publication of its green hydrogen national roadmap, Morocco is willing to position itself among the market leaders in this sector. So, we deem that in order to unlock this full market potential, the country should continue working on the challenges behind green hydrogen deployment. And in this regard, RES4Africa study on green hydrogen in Morocco, prepared through a collaborative effort with PwC, aims to shed light on the current situation and future perspective of green hydrogen in Morocco, assessing the strengths, challenges, and possible solutions to the creation of a dedicated regulatory and market framework. More specifically, its main takeaways could be summarized under the following main points: strategic positioning, implementation and support, and governance. In terms of strategic positioning, the study suggests identifying the medium and long-term targets for the entire green hydrogen value chain. These include production, electrolyzer capacity, desalination plants, research and development, production and operating cost, as well as the decision of whether to export green hydrogen or consume it domestically. Regarding implementation and support, the study suggests some of the possible measures for the practical implementation of this strategy and the financial support needed to pursue market maturity. In addition, great emphasis should be placed on green hydrogen certification and safety issues. Finally, and I will conclude, under the governance pillar, the focus is on the measure related to the development of a green hydrogen market, its main stakeholders, and the synergies among them. So to conclude, RES4Africa believes that effectively all these recommendations taken together could foster the way to clean hydrogen deployment in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Cristiano.
Last but not least, our decarbonization hero. So, Mrs. Nasma Jrondi, you represent the Mohammed VI Foundation for the Environment. What are your main activities when it comes to assisting the private companies to make this leapfrog toward low carbon industry or economy?
Thank you very much. If you allow me, I will switch into French because I'm more comfortable in French. So, mesdames et messieurs, merci, bonjour. Je souhaite remercier les organisateurs d'avoir invité la Fondation Mohammed VI pour la protection de l'environnement. Comme vous le savez, la Fondation a été créée par Sa Majesté le roi Mohammed VI, que Dieu l'assiste, en 2001, et il en a confié la présidence à Son Altesse Royale, la Princesse Laila Hasna. Donc, la Fondation a pour mission principale l'éducation, la formation et la sensibilisation à l'environnement et au développement durable. Alors, pour atteindre cet objectif de transition énergétique et de neutralité carbone, on a besoin d'un cadre réglementaire institutionnel favorable, c'est ce qui a été présenté par le ministère. On a besoin de coopération régionale, on a besoin de technologie, de recherche, d'innovation, on a besoin de bonnes pratiques, on a besoin d'innovation, mais on a aussi besoin de renforcement des capacités. Et c'est là où la Fondation a vraiment sa valeur ajoutée. Avec ses partenaires, la Fondation a été l'initiatrice de la Convention cadre pour la décarbonation de l'économie marocaine. Donc, nous nous sommes rassemblés avec le secteur privé, donc le ministère de l'Industrie et du Commerce, le ministère de la Transition énergétique et du Développement durable, avec le secteur privé, la CGEM, avec l'AME, l'Agence marocaine de l'efficacité énergétique, et IMANOR, l'Institut marocain de normalisation, et la Fondation. Tous ensemble, nous avons essayé de mettre en place un écosystème pour accompagner le Maroc dans sa transition bas carbone. Donc, nous avons des objectifs ambitieux dans le cadre de la stratégie nationale bas carbone à l'horizon 2050. Nous avons aussi des objectifs internationaux ambitieux avec notre NDC. Et donc, on a besoin de mettre en place un écosystème favorable. Et donc, pour pouvoir réduire nos émissions et arriver à une économie sobre en carbone, on a besoin d'abord de pouvoir les mesurer. On ne peut pas réduire ce qu'on ne peut pas mesurer. Et pour cela, nous avons mis à jour et actualisé l'outil de calcul et de mesure des émissions de gaz à effet de serre qui avait été lancé par la Fondation dès 2013 pour mettre à jour les 350 facteurs d'émissions dont 60% ont été adoptés au contexte national. Et vraiment, c'est un exercice qui a été fait en collaboration avec l'ensemble des parties prenantes, en écoutant l'ensemble des acteurs pour vraiment avoir une donnée fiable, actualisée et reconnue et partagée par l'ensemble des acteurs, parce que c'est important. Donc, une fois qu'aujourd'hui cet outil est prêt, il est disponible, il est mis à la disposition de l'ensemble des organisations qui souhaitent mesurer leurs émissions. Donc, on commence d'abord par mesurer. Ensuite, mesurer, c'est bien, mais le plus important, c'est de réduire. Donc, nous accompagnons l'ensemble des partenaires dans leur plan d'action pour la transition, pour réduire leurs émissions, à travers notamment des solutions technologiques innovantes qui ont été présentées. Et ensuite, ce qu'on ne peut pas réduire, on peut le compenser. Donc, nous mettons à disposition un portefeuille de projets de compensation volontaire carbone qui est développé par la Fondation depuis le 2009 et que cette année, nous avons essayé de mener une étude pour voir notre potentiel de certification de ces crédits carbone dans le cadre du marché volontaire. Donc tout ça, ça nous a donné les bases d'accompagner, on va dire, les organisations, mais surtout le secteur privé dans sa transition bas carbone. Et en plus des outils, ce que nous offrons, c'est aussi la formation et la sensibilisation, et nous le faisons à travers le Centre international Hassan II de formation à l'environnement, qui organise des sessions de formation bilan carbone. Donc l'ensemble des partenaires, des entreprises sont invités à participer régulièrement aux formations que nous organisons. Nous organisons aussi des webinaires de sensibilisation de manière globale et nous faisons aussi des tournées régionales de sensibilisation que nous organisons avec la CGEM. Donc nous allons dans toutes les régions du Maroc pour rencontrer les entreprises localement pour les sensibiliser autour de la décarbonation de manière générale et de nos objectifs bas carbone. Nous sommes aussi convaincus qu'on a besoin d'accompagner les territoires dans cette transition bas carbone. Et à partir du mois de septembre, nous avons lancé avec la DGCT une mise à niveau de la comptabilité carbone des territoires. Donc notre outil va être adapté au territoire parce que nous sommes convaincus que c'est une action globale entre le secteur public, le secteur privé, les territoires, mais aussi le rôle de la jeunesse. Et j'insiste dans ce cadre pour dire que la Fondation accorde un intérêt particulier au renforcement des capacités de la jeunesse. Et j'aimerais rapidement parler d'une initiative qui avait été lancée par la Fondation en 2019 dans le cadre du sommet climat des Nations Unies. C'est le African Youth Climate Hub, dans lequel nous accompagnons la jeunesse africaine dans un programme d'incubation de projets africains pour lutter contre les changements climatiques. Donc c'est vraiment cette approche, on va dire, multi-stakeholder, du secteur public, du secteur privé, des territoires et de la jeunesse que nous souhaitons mettre en place pour accompagner le Maroc dans cette transition bas carbone. Merci.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Nesma Jouandé. It's obviously important what you have said, especially creating synergies between the different actors and also building and reinforcing the capacities. Of course, we will need well-trained workforces for the success of our direction or our low-carbon energy transition. Now we will open the floor for just 1 or 2 questions maximum, so we have some time restrictions, so please, if anyone would like to address a question to one of our speakers, please raise your hand. One of the colleagues from IFMIR, yes, you're Mr. Khalifa. Yes, so you asked me, yes, to give you a slot to say something to our speakers. Please go ahead.
Oui, bonjour, je m'appelle Khalil Khalifa. Je suis franco-mauritanien. J'étais venu ici sur invitation pour parler d'un concept innovant qui a été fait la première fois dans le monde et qu'on a appliqué dans toute la Tunisie. C'est le bilan carbone territorial. Ça consiste à quoi? Ça consiste à relier les bilans carbone avec les inventaires nationaux. Je suis parti de l'expérience française. La France est un des premiers pays à avoir légiféré les bilans carbone, à avoir développé des bases de données, développé des outils. Malgré ça, les industriels, les activités, les collectivités restent très absentes dans la mise en œuvre des solutions. Il n'y a pas de connexion entre les bilans carbone des activités et les stratégies nationales. Donc moi, je ne suis pas tunisien, mais j'ai développé un modèle. Au bout de 6 mois, nous avons réalisé 1000 bilans carbone en Tunisie. Aujourd'hui, nous savons la contribution de chaque activité et de chaque territoire. Donc j'avais prévu une présentation. Ça aurait été les résultats préliminaires de cette action qui a été réalisée la première fois dans le monde. On aura un séminaire le 5 décembre. Donc ceux qui veulent y participer en Tunisie, à Tunis, ils seraient les bienvenus. Voilà, je ne veux pas aller plus loin. Je n'ai pas de questions. J'avais juste voulu un peu évoquer le sujet qui m'avait amené ici à Tanger. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Khalifa.
Oui, bonjour, good morning. I have a question to local people in Morocco. So most of the project that we have here in Morocco, I mean, my opinion is not a large-scale project. And we are not addressing till now basic industries for small companies. What is OCP is doing, Mazen, Irizen, and so on is great, and the foundation. However, looks like, at least what we read on the newspaper, on the information, is that there is a lack of proposal to small industries, because the low carbon transition should not be made just by big companies. Most of our economic is made with TP This is the first thing. The second thing is that your intervention, Madam, is that is there an aim to integrate this kind of subject on our le cursus scolaire? Because for the time being, you are addressing young, but it's not in terms of education, school, primary school, and so on, just in terms of action. Thank you for the two questions. I'm sorry.
Thank you for this important question. Please, Mr. Taner.
Yeah, maybe I will try to answer. It's a quite large question. I would just say a few words. I mean, we are talking now, especially on the green hydrogen field, about a new sector that we are creating, a new economical sector, a new technology, etc. And in order to implement, of course, we talk about large-scale projects, big quantity of renewables, wind, solar, electrolyzers, production of green ammonia or other green fuels. And the way we are looking at it in Morocco is trying to maximize the add value to the country. By add value, I mean, let's say, three main elements. First one, enhancing the local content. The idea, of course, within this large-scale project is creating the manufacturing, bringing and trying to attract big compound manufacturers to establish the industry locally, for electrolyzer, for example, for wind turbine, blades, tower, other stuff. Maybe also for the mirror, for the solar PV. Many other big companies are looking to Morocco as an appropriate place to develop large-scale battery production. So all of this will create an ecosystem around this new business. Of course, we'll be also using and all the small and medium companies around this local system. So we don't have to look at it only as a final product, but as an ecosystem with a vertical integration and horizontal integration, because the idea also is trying to develop and to attract energy-poor factories and energy-poor companies and sector to establish their business and their manufacturing here in Morocco. We're talking about also green steel and other. So the idea is trying really to enhance the add value within this vertical, horizontal, but also the use of the final product. And all of this will be, of course, of the benefit of the medium and small scale companies. But we have to start. We talk about, Irizen is developing some pilot project. Of course, many small companies are working around. We are developing more industrial scale project. First phase of 100 megawatt electrolyzers. OCP is developing large scale. So we are building this case step by step.
Just wanted to add that in terms of concrete actions, OCP is also trying to contribute in two different frameworks. So in terms of education, so University Mohammed VI has already launched a specialized training program which will start starting from September to have the adequate talent to operate those kinds of new businesses. And there is also the arm of venture capital. So for small businesses and new opportunities that need the investment from large group or even OCP, there is an established frameworks to help those developments, either from the lab scale to the business scale, or even from an ideation to business.
Merci beaucoup. Je voudrais, comme ce que je l'ai dit en introduction, rappeler que la mission principale de la Fondation est l'éducation et la formation. Et comme vous le savez, la Fondation développe depuis plus de 20 ans tous les programmes d'éducation et de sensibilisation à l'environnement. Nous sommes le National Operator de la Fondation pour l'éducation à l'environnement. Nous développons le programme Éco-École qui s'adresse aux élèves de l'école primaire. Donc il y a plus de 3500 écoles à travers tout le Maroc qui sont certifiées éco-écoles. Nous avons aussi le programme Jeunes Reporters pour l'environnement, qui est aussi un des programmes de la Fondation pour l'éducation à l'environnement. Nous avons aussi lancé avec le PNUE le African Green Universities and Youth Education Network, dont l'UM6P fait partie, ainsi que d'autres universités dans 8 pays africains. Donc il y a à peu près une trentaine d'universités. Et pour nous, la formation et l'éducation, c'est un process tout au long de la vie. Donc on commence à un très jeune public au niveau des écoles et on continue vraiment jusqu'à l'âge adulte. Et aussi, on a lancé en 2019 donc, le bras académique de la Fondation, le Centre international Hassan II de formation à l'environnement, qui vraiment traite de cette question de formation vraiment tout au long de la vie et le renforcement des capacités avec l'ensemble des parties prenantes, des acteurs, que ce soit les citoyens, que ce soit le secteur privé, que ce soit les administrations, pour vraiment avoir une vision globale, parce que justement, si on veut atteindre cette transition, il faut vraiment que tous les maillons de la chaîne soient sensibilisés, éduqués et formés.
Merci. La dernière question.
Merci.
Oui,
merci. Je vous remercie, je remercie en même temps les différents intervenants. Je sais que le temps presse, mais en tant que, puisque l'ambition de cette Medcop, c'est qu'il était entre deux COP, c'est-à-dire COP 27 et COP 28. On aimerait bien, parce qu'il y a des décisions, des négociations, quelles sont, à mon avis, quelles sont les questions ou bien les recommandations phares qui doivent être axées et partagées avec les différents délégués des différents pays de la Méditerranée pour qu'ils soient préparés à la COP 28 pour les proposer comme ça, pour faire avancer dans ce cadre énergétique. Je vous remercie.
Thank you. So I had a similar question for our speakers. So just because we have some time restrictions, can I please ask you for a final key message in one key word? What is needed to create a regional competitive market for clean hydrogen in the Mediterranean region? In one word, please, what is needed from your perspective, Mr. Ugamenos?
If I had to summarize what I said, the key word would be together. I go one step beyond and beyond hydrogen. Uniform. We need uniform regulation, we need uniform standards, without which it does not start.
Thank you. Mr. Roberto?
Clean hydrogen is relevant for Europe for the strategy and collaboration with the countries from a regional point of view. In our opinion, it is important at regional level to make an assessment from the point of view of the barriers, of the potentiality, of the possibility to tackle and to go on with all the countries together.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that the key words is defining and defining the regulation. This is the first one. I can also add support from the, let's say, the Europe for the first project, because the first project will take a risk, because I mean, we are facing new technical aspect. We are also scaling the project, so we need some subvention for the first project. This is a key factor in order to pass through this first period before scaling.
Thank you, Mr. Tariq. Monsieur Philippe?
I will tell it in French. Ce que nous considérons d'habitude comme des résidus ou des déchets de nos activités, que ce soit des eaux usées, des boues, des déchets ménagers, des déchets d'agriculture, des déchets d'espaces verts, ce sont des ressources importante d'énergie locale décarbonée.
Merci. Monsieur Omar.
So I think we have a unique opportunity. The stars are aligned, and Morocco can play an important role, but we cannot do it on our own. So we need to work together at regional level or even at global scale, hand in hand, in order to offer the solutions.
Merci. Mrs. Christiana.
Yeah. My keyword today is collaboration, and collaboration because given this scenario we have been presenting today, as RES for Africa, we intend to foster collaboration between our members to support clean hydrogen development and assess the region's readiness for a clean hydrogen revolution.
Thank you. Mrs. Nesma.
Je rejoins les intervenants pour dire que nous avons tous les ingrédients. Et on a besoin juste de plus de collaboration, plus de partenariat d'échange, de partage de bonnes pratiques, d'accompagnement en termes de formation, renforcement des capacités, de financement et aussi d'intégration régionale.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you for you all. Thank you also for our audience, and please help me to thank our speakers for this fruitful discussion we had today about this thematic about energy security, low carbon transition, and also the models and solutions that can foster green hydrogen production and competitiveness. Thank you.